Hello and welcome to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
Before we dive into who our guest is going to be, Joe's going to remind us of our show's purpose.
Well, our show's purpose and vision is to connect generations of servants through stories of service.
So good.
I love it.
So good. And we're going to come back to that in just a minute, but I do just want to share with our listeners who our upcoming guest is, and that is Alan Anderson. He is a longtime Rotarian. He's a member of the Northfield Rotary Club. Also, he kind of piloted a subcommittee off of that, which is called RCAT. So that stands for Rotary Climate Action Team. So we're excited to have you guys listen to that. But let's just share with our listeners a little bit more about our vision and our mission for the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think that since the beginning of this show that we've been searching for not only service, but we've been searching for what the meaning of this show is and what our mission is. And, you know, I think we've come to the conclusion that the mission of this is, and through the episodes and the inspiration of all of our guests. So thank you so much ahead of time for all the guests that have been on the show. You've inspired this, all the feedback that we've got from, you know, fellow Rotarians and other people that have commented on the show. And we really dialed into that there is a generational gap between how people serve. Yes. And there is no wrong way of service. It's just that there is a generational gap in how people serve and what that looks like. And the purpose of this show can really be about connecting those generations of people together through telling amazing stories of service. And that has been one of the feedbacks that we've gotten about the show is, wow, it's so engaging. There's great stories. I didn't know Rotary did this, or this organization did that, or, oh my gosh, World Vision. I didn't even realize we were doing projects of scale. And it's been so fun to, you know, go on this journey. And we've been so happy to have all of you on the journey with us, and can't thank all of our listeners enough for your support. And you know how to support us too, by the way. Is if you don't, then you
haven't been listening.
But just as a reminder, how do people support us?
You look up Searching for Service on your favorite podcasting platform or on YouTube, and you like, share, 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
And you can email us.
And you can email us at searchingforserviceshow@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear what you think of this new mission and what we are setting out to accomplish. And I do want to point out a couple things about the mission that are really important. One, it doesn't mention Rotary. It's connecting all service organization, anybody who is
across the board,
whether it's an organization, an individual, connecting the generations of servants, people that have served their community through stories.
And inspiring.
I
think that's a big piece, is inspiring generations and connections.
Well, and I mean, because we're going to have so much, and every guest that we ever have on, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never thought of it that way. And a lot of the times it's just the way that they're thinking, or the way that they communicate, or the way that they serve. It's kind of like love languages, you guys. There's service love languages.
That's cute. I like it.
Well, you know, talking about connecting generations, you'll hear in our interview that, you know, as a younger generation, we learn today on things we can be better at and utilize and taking action. And I think that kind of illustrated a little bit of what we're trying to accomplish, is that connecting the generations with not only opportunities and inspiration to serve, but how we can learn.
Well, and I mean, and I know that we've had a lot of Rotarians on, and one of Rotary's large missions is to grow membership. And I'd argue that's any service organization out there is to grow membership. And I think what we're all identifying is the way people serve now has been transformed. Is, you know, the younger generation, our generation, tends to be less committal about a, you know, formal service organization rather than specific projects or specific causes. And yes, Rotary is pivoting towards cause-based clubs, and we've talked about that before. But I think that the messaging is even more important to look at. Like, it's how we serve. It's not whether we serve or not. It's how we serve. And then how do we open the doors up for all service love languages?
Yeah.
Hey, that's trademarked, everybody out there. As of December 15th of 2023.
Okay.
Well, there you go. And I think it, when we talk about generationals, I think younger generations are a lot more social issue driven, but are still serving. And I think Rotary is also definitely involved in that as well. But you're right that there's what we're trying to do is inspire and connect all generations.
It's bridging the gaps.
Yeah. And I think that's the important piece. And I know, and we're similar generations. We're pretty close, I think. And I've learned so much on different ways and different avenues and different opportunities, and get inspired every time we do a show. It's been fun.
This has been a blast. And my favorite thing about this show is, it's hard to do what we're doing. Is we're trying to appeal to all generations of Rotarians or people of service. And we have found that very challenging. I mean, it is sincerely a very challenging exercise. But, we're up to it. And I think that it's what absolutely informed our mission statement is, we saw this this difficulty in
So I haven't even mentioned this to you. I had a call from a listener about 2 weeks ago asking, they had not listened to the show, they had heard the promos, and they said, so where can I serve right now? And I was like, that's a loaded question.
Wow, yeah.
And I said, well, have you listened to the show? And they said, no, I will, because I'm looking for opportunities as someone that was going into retirement. And I said, I think for anybody, you're looking for something that, is inspiring to you and motivating. But I said, you can listen back and to try and find them, or go through. And Rotary provides other opportunities. But it was a hard question. I said, well, we had some that were top of mind, that we
talk about our
recent, ones.
Service love languages, right? It's like, that is a very loaded and broad question. It's like, well, how do you like to serve? And is it,
Maybe a cool little challenge for us is to identify 5 service love languages. Or if our listeners out there, if you've thought about this or, have any kind of direction on how to guide us on that, I think that would be really cool. Because if we could start to identify what people's love languages are in terms of service, we can begin to help partner them with the right service opportunity, or at least direct them. And if, and I think, Chad, I think you nailed it, is this show is now 60 plus episodes deep. We have covered everything that you can think of. Well, I mean, not everything.
There's always more.
There's always more. But I mean, we have created a large swath of library of opportunity where if you listen throughout the show and are not,
micro, all different
everything.
levels.
I mean, if you're not driven to service,
areas, it's,
or there's something that at least tugs at your heartstrings a little bit, I don't know how to help you.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, and I truly believe that too, is like we've done a really nice job of doing that.
Yeah,
so
broad topic.
I don't know about you. I'm really excited.
Well, and I'm excited
Same.
for Alan's interview coming up.
We are very excited. So we'll look forward to having you guys listen to Alan and his podcast. As a reminder, you're listening to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson. We'll be back.
Rotary is a place for all community-minded people who want to serve their areas with the support of an international organization. Join Rotary to find service. Join Rotary to find inclusion. Join Rotary to find leadership. Join Rotary to find fun. Join Rotary to find friendship. Join Rotary to find a better version of the world. Find a Rotary Club near you at Rotary.org and click on Club Finder. There is a club out there for everyone. Find your fit with Rotary. Rotary.org.
For decades, eradicating polio worldwide has been Rotary's cornerstone cause. We are incredibly close to ridding the globe of this virus, but we need everyone's help to get us to the goal. World Polio Day is October 24th. Please consider making a new donation to Polio Plus or increasing your already generous giving. Go to endpolio.org to be a part of this historical eradication of polio. You will help get vaccinations to the most remote parts of our world and help fulfill a promise we made to end polio now. 2 drops and it stops.
Up your game and show off your Rotary Club spirit. Did you know there's a one-stop shop for all things Rotary apparel? Russell Hampton Company is the world's largest provider of licensed Rotary branded merchandise. From apparel like hats, jackets, and shirts to banners, tents, and awards, they have it all. And most things are customizable. And they can handle orders of all sizes. Russell Hampton Company also has deep connections to Rotary. In 1920, the company founder was part of Rotary Club No. 1 in downtown Chicago. Russell Hampton Company models their business on the Rotary 4-way test and gives back 10% of all purchases to Rotary, supporting its global work. So the next time you and your club are out on a service project, arrive with the right swag from Russell Hampton Company to promote your club and Rotary. Even non-Rotarians will want some of your cool hats, shirts, and jackets. Learn more at bestclubsupplies.com. That's bestclubsupplies.com.
Hello, we've got Alan Anderson on our show today, Searching for Service. Welcome, Alan. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Where are you joining us from today, Alan?
I'm in Northfield, Minnesota.
Oh, so not too far. Good to hear. So we would just like to get to know you real quick. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I was born and raised down in Owatonna, Minnesota. Got a degree from Oregon State in wildlife management. There were no jobs. Ran a small business. Was in the National Guard. And then went to work as an executive for the Boy Scouts. Did that for 35 years. Retired in 2012 and started my next chapter as a climate activist.
Look at that. And look at how quick you spewed off your bio too. like your resume was in 3 seconds and life story and
Alan, are you well practiced in radio shows and podcasts, or is this your first one?
Not well practiced, although a conservative friend of mine who's also a member of Citizens Climate Lobby and I did once a month KYMN climate show down here in Northfield.
Oh, so you know.
Yeah.
Come on, Alan. Quit burying the lead.
Well, how long was that running for?
4 years.
Okay.
Very cool.
So yeah, you're seasoned. Sounds like.
And when did you become a Rotarian?
When I joined the scouting profession, we were all encouraged to join the local Rotary Club. So initially I joined about, in 1978.
Okay.
But then because I had to move a lot and some of my jobs had me on the road a lot, I didn't get re-involved until about 2010 again. And I've been in the Northfield Rotary Club since then. And our club for a small town is uncommonly large. It's 130 members.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
And we were actually talking off air that we had, I'm blanking on who we had on the show, but we talked about the youth exchange and how you guys always host the most number of youth exchange students. And so it's like you guys have all of these really cool feathers in your hat for, a relatively small town that has huge impact nationally and internationally. So thanks for being a spotlight for that too.
Yeah, very fun. We send maybe half a dozen kids abroad every year, and then have incoming students every year.
Yep.
Have you ever hosted?
I have not.
We in our club we have a couple people that host, and we've had a lot of visits. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
How did you get involved in the climate action team with Rotary? So we might as well go right into kind of why you're on the show today, and that's to talk about the Rotary climate action team and what that's all about.
Well, many moons ago, when I was a young Boy Scout, my scoutmaster gave me a gift membership to the Sierra Club, which I've been in ever since. And so I've always been kind of paying attention to environmental and climate issues. But when I retired, my wife and I went to a Nobel conference at Gustavus Adolphus College on climate change. And at the end of one NOAA scientist at the end of his presentation pointed to the audience and said, "You all need to go home and do something." And I had just retired, so I figured he was talking to me. I put together a climate presentation for churches initially and had that same NOAA scientist vet it for me, and then started promoting a free talk on climate to churches, and that kind of launched me.
What brought you to churches as your kind of your
Focus.
target focus with that? Like what was it about that?
Initially, I knew, having been a member of a number of churches along the way, that many of them have adult education groups that meet either Sunday mornings or some weekday evening. And I knew that they were always looking for programs. So I figured it would be a good place to start. But then later, in my Rotary Club, when I guess it was back in 2017, our new president had district Rotary people come and run a visioning session for us and helped us choose our top 5 priorities. And I helped the group decide that climate action was one of the top priorities, which they did. And then we formed a Rotary climate action team, and the president asked me to chair that, which I have done.
That's so cool.
Can you tell us more about an actual climate action team and how that is different from a Rotary club and how they connect?
Yeah.
Sure. So actually, it's a subcommittee of our club. And as I mentioned, we have about 130 members. And when we started the Rotary Climate Action Team, there was initially 3 of us. And we began meeting and did an educational program for our club. And soon we had 8, and today we have 26 members of the club are in the Climate Action Team also.
Okay.
What are you guys focusing on now versus what you started with the churches? Do you guys have a specific focus that you're really going after?
So we started with a humble goal of growing enough Rotary Climate Action teams and other clubs to impact Rotary International. Why set small goals? But
I think it's a fantastic goal, actually.
Not small, though.
Right.
We began making presentations to clubs in our area, and we worked with the city of Northfield to install the first 2 public EV charging stations in our downtown. And in fact, they're still, a couple of years later now, the only 2 public charging stations available in our downtown. And we also began writing letters regularly to Rotary International magazine. And one of our letters in particular got a lot of attention. And I had my email in that letter, and so people began contacting me. And a club from San Francisco contacted me, and they were all in from day one, and a very large and powerful active club. And they built a Rotary Climate Action Team website, which we're still using. And we have given presentations now we have a number of speakers that are listed on our website, and we've spoken to a lot of clubs, both in the U.S., but also in other countries. And one of the things that we do is we partner with a group called the Global Climate Pledge. That's actually the name of the group. And we encourage clubs to go to their website also. And we've had some 900 Rotary clubs around the world now sign the Global Climate Pledge and pledge to take action. Wow. And then we've worked with a number of other very active clubs and other environmental groups to have, I would say, steady pressure on the Rotary International. And they, 2 years ago now, I believe, we have something called focus areas, and we had 6 of them. They're all really outstanding. Education for women and girls, and health, and the polio effort, and so forth. And we convinced with a lot of help besides us, convinced Rotary International to add a 7th area of focus, protecting the environment. And within that is a very specific challenge to Rotary clubs to take action on climate and on actions that will reduce emissions.
So let me get this straight. The 7th pillar for Rotary International came from Northfield, Minnesota.
I wouldn't claim that much. I would say that we were
amongst the first.
One of the many burrs under their saddle.
There you go.
I like it.
If you guys don't mind, I want to take it a step back because I think that it's pretty evident, Alan, in just the amount of time that you have put in to act as an activist of climate change. Where did that passion stem from? Was it in the 34 years of executive service with Boy Scouts, or did it go all the way back to your bachelor's degree?
Well, it probably went back to my childhood.
Okay.
My dad was a World War II vintage veteran country doctor, and he had married a nurse, and both of them grew up in the Depression, and were very much about community service. As we grew up, they had us all in scouting as kids, and a lot of emphasis on giving back and giving service and taking care of other people.
Good parents.
Yes.
Yeah. They were great parents.
It's funny, the doctor marries the nurse. I'm a realtor, and I married a mortgage professional.
That's me. It fits.
I would have liked your dad.
He was a hero in town, pretty much one of the. In a small town, there's usually not a lot of doctors, and so he delivered. And back after World War II, the doctors did everything. So short of brain surgery, he delivered babies and did internal medicine and did surgery and did ER work, and they kind of did it all.
That's incredible. And, it's so funny, too, because we're now about 60 episodes into this show, and it's so fascinating. We ask a lot of the folks that are on, how did you get introduced to service? And it's really, there's kind of 3 or 4 different ways that people get introduced. And, you're definitely the one that I would say is the deepest is it's genetic almost. It is through your entire family, and you inherited those values. Some people, they get it by, experiencing the world, like a lot of the travelers, like the global travelers. So it's nice to hear that you had it from an early age, and it's kind of trickled through your life. I mean, everything from your education to, you deciding to serve as the Boy Scouts. I mean, that's very environmental. You're out there all the time to what you're doing now. So it's kind of fun to see how that generational component really plays through. So thank you for your service in doing that stuff. I think it's admirable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
My pleasure. It's been a great adventure.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You've spoken to a lot of different groups. Do you travel with it, or is it mostly online?
Good question.
Tell us more.
Essentially, I drew a 100-mile radius around Northfield and said I'd drive to any of them that were within the circle, but outside the circle, I'd try to convince them to do Zoom.
Probably got easier after 2020.
Yeah.
To convince them. What are some of the, just for listeners in general, right now, individuals and at the club level that you talk to people about, the simple things they can do and that you guys are talking about on a personal level to combat climate change?
You bet. Well, really, probably the single most important thing that people can do is become a regular caller for their national Congress people. And within Citizens Climate Lobby, which I'm also a member of, we've had international conferences in Washington tied to our lobby day. And we've had staff members from both parties come and tell us what really is effective with Congress people. And they tell us that whether you make a short phone call or send a postcard or write a 3-page detailed letter, they all become check marks on the daily tally of what my constituents care about. So if we can get a steady flow of phone calls in particular coming in with constituents, we train people to thank them for something and then ask them for climate action. And when there are specific bills available, like currently there's a bill called the Big Wires Bill about improving the grid and interconnectedness between portions of the grid. And we encourage people to ask their congressperson to sign on as a co-sponsor. And of all the things that we can do, buying electric cars, putting up solar, becoming vegan, all the different things that could make a difference.
Yep.
If all of the people who are believers did those things, that wouldn't be good enough. We need all those things, plus we need systemic change at the federal level, like some kind of carbon tax. A carbon fee and dividend is something that we've worked hard on.
Yeah, that's a heavy lift, but I think hopefully someday, and I think I appreciate the advice on contacting your legislators in Congress, because I know that has big impact, more than you realize on an elected official, and it's important. As you've kind of worked with this within Rotary, and you guys have it within your club, and you taught other clubs, what is kind of the things you've worked with other clubs so they could launch their own action committees? Climate action committees.
We actually have a handout when we are able to speak with them, or we can mail it to them, but it's kind of a step-by-step process of how to start a climate action team within their club. And then, and it's pretty simple. You gather up a couple of kindred spirits and find out if you really want to do that. Get approval from the governing board of the club, and then just begin and start investigating what you could do in your own town, and educating members, because as much as is known about climate change, I am always surprised when I give talks of how many people still have heard very little about it, undoubtedly because they have not sought to learn anything about it. But lots of people still don't know that much, and there's a lot of room for education out there.
Can you share what you think is the best achievement of your action committee thus far? Like your biggest win? Maybe tell us a little story about what that was and what happened.
Well, it's kind of two parts, I guess I would say. One is that we, along with other environmental groups in Northfield, and in a college town, there's a number of those.
Yeah, I bet.
We began working on the city to add to the city's long-range plan, developing a climate action plan. And we got that implemented. And then we volunteered to help the city develop that plan. And I ended up being a co-chair for the city's committee to develop the climate action plan. And then an outgrowth of that was, as I mentioned, installing those EV charging stations. And we've had a number of other Rotary clubs really like that idea and have pursued that also.
Very cool. Being in a college town like that, do you guys have a lot of interactions with, the younger students and interaction on the climate level?
We have some, not as much as we would like. Typically, we try to do tabling in the commons at the two colleges. Okay. And we do that a couple times a year. And then each of the colleges has an environmental sustainability group. And we have been to speak with them about the climate challenges. And a lot of the students are really quite better informed than many adults. And a lot of them have joined Citizens Climate Lobby in that case. So that's always encouraging, and we keep working on getting more of them involved.
Yeah, I mean, if you're finding that they're more educated than your group, do you utilize them as a resource in terms of learning additional information or new findings and new things or new successes that you guys can take then to your membership and challenge? It's really interesting. That's actually like the reverse of what you think it would be, right? Like it's right. Like, oh man, the kids are teaching us. All right. It's like learning technology, right? Like, oh, yeah. How did you turn that channel on? What happened? Yeah. Like,
right. Oh, we invite them to share with us any new information that they have. But if you plug into a number of websites on the internet, one of them is just called Climate Central. I think it's climatecentral.org. And it is just a steady wealth of information about climate science, what corporations are doing or not doing, what different battery technology is being developed, kind of a steady stream of interesting and new information about climate challenges.
You know, we talked a little bit about you've spoken to a lot of groups, both local, national, and internationally. Are there any big projects that's Rotary supporting on the international level that you could tell us about?
So within the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group, or SRAG, there's a subcommittee on climate solutions. And and I'm connected with that team also. And one of the things that we're working to try to bring forward and get traction both broadly within SRAG, but also then hopefully Rotary International, is a campaign to install 1 million solar panels, wherever they might be needed and wherever they would do some good. So that's one of the, I would say, big efforts that's underway.
Interesting. We've had what was the WASH program? What was her role? And the director? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so we had a big conversation about how the water is impacted, and briefly touched on the climate impact. But do you guys have a connection on the water side? Knowing I know it kind of goes hand in hand as climates change. Have you guys interacted with them much?
We haven't interacted with them a great deal, but water is going to be a crisis in a lot of places. Mm-hmm. As you may know, the last summer was the first summer, and there was a water emergency declared on the Colorado River because the big reservoirs were so low, and they provide water for some 40 million people. And they got a little bit of a respite with lots of snows and snow melt to replenish a little bit of the big reservoirs, but nowhere close to what needs to happen. And I mentioned my family and my parents inspiring us to service. And my youngest sister became a nurse and ended up starting a program in Santiago, Chile for women who lived in the shanty towns, teaching them how to do preventative health care and training them to go out and teach their neighborhoods how to do the same thing, especially preventative health care relative to infants. And she's still there 40 years later now.
Wow.
But because she's there, I pay a lot of attention to what's going on in Chile. And their largest city, Santiago, gets most of their water from mountain snowmelt reservoirs. And as the climate changes and warms, they're going to be challenged with water supply from those reservoirs in the future. And it's very sobering.
I bet. As we kind of go in the show, we always try and kind of get to and wrap up, and we have time. But we talked about the future of both the action committee or the action team that you're on. What would be your long-term goals in the future with the group that you started?
Well, we're hoping, as you may know, Rotary is a rock star organization when it comes to the fight against polio. When that battle began, there was polio endemic in some 150 countries. And polio really started an international campaign through Rotary clubs. And it got so much attention that the Gates Foundation said that they would match any money that Rotary raised 2-1. And so Rotary still today remains the second largest donor after the Gates Foundation to the polio fight. But we're down to just 2 countries. I think it's just Pakistan and Afghanistan are the only countries left. And with Rotary clubs in Afghanistan, there are some amazingly, they worked with the Taliban to finally get the Taliban to quit blocking and actually help us do the polio campaign in Afghanistan. So we're hoping that Rotary's next big international project is going to be climate action.
Okay.
Because all of the good that Rotary has done in the world will end up being for naught if we don't stop climate change. We drill water wells and build new schools in Central Africa. Well, if the equatorial region becomes too hot to live in, the world is going to be a disaster.
Well, as we start to wind down, I think one of the final questions I'd like to ask is, what do you see your role in all of this?
A little spark plug.
That's good.
One of my taglines at the end of my emails is, nobody can do everything, but everyone can do something. And if everyone will just do what they can do, we'll get there.
I like it. Well, and if people want to get more information or reach out, what's the best avenue? And we can share this as well, but let people know where they can find and get more information about the Climate Action Team and information in general.
Sure. They can just email me.
Lucky duck. I love that.
Nice.
My email is luckyduck49@gmail.com.
Perfect. Well, I'll put that in the bio when we post this. We thank you for joining us
Thank you,
today.
Alan. It was really inspiring to have you on our show.
Well, it's been my pleasure, and I encourage you to keep up the good work.
Thanks,
you.
Alan. And I got to make the comment, and I didn't weave it into the show, but you were certainly always prepared for this show.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much, Alan.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Show off your Rotary Club spirit with Russell Hampton Company. They're the world's largest provider of licensed Rotary items. They make everything like hats, jackets, shirts, banners, and more. Russell Hampton Company is a fourth-generation family-owned and operated business founded in 1920 by a member of the first-ever Rotary Club in Chicago, Club Number 1. When you call Russell Hampton Company, you get more than just a company. You get a fellow Rotarian-owned business who's there to help. No matter if you're ordering for your entire club or just yourself, no order is too big or too small. Not sure what your club needs? Their team members can help and customize just about anything. They live by the Rotary 4-way test. They also give 10% of all purchases back to Rotary to support Rotary's global work. So remember, Russell Hampton Company is your one-stop shop for all things Rotary. Learn more at bestclubsupplies.com. That's bestclubsupplies.com. Russell Hampton Company, Rotarians serving Rotarians.
Of the things we think, say, or do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Join Rotary to serve your community and the world with honesty, fairness, and goodwill. Our 4-way test guides our actions every day. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? These values underpin our commitment to making a positive impact on the world. Learn more about your local Rotary Club and stop searching and start serving. And the song you're hearing now was performed by Rotary Club of Dar es Salaam, Oyster Bay.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? When we pay it forward, it will be returned.
Join Rotary to serve your community and the world with honesty, fairness, and goodwill. Our 4-way test guides our actions every day. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? These values underpin our commitment to making a positive impact on the world. Learn more about your local Rotary Club and stop searching and start serving. And the song you're hearing right now was performed by the Rotary Club of Saskatoon, Natuna in Canada.
When we pay it forward, it will be returned.
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
As a reminder, you can find us on your favorite podcast platforms
And you can find us by looking up Searching for Service.
Great job. We're also on YouTube. You can also find us the same way. And we love 5-star reviews, likes, shares, and subscribes.
Beautiful.
That was good.
And you can email the show and how much you love it, if you really want to, at searchingforserviceshow@gmail.com.
We'll take any feedback, though. We can take that.
Be gentle.
Well, we had a great guest today. Alan shared
Anderson.
about Alan Anderson, about the Rotary Climate Action Change. As we all go forward, what are you thinking you can do in your personal life?
I think just having
Recycling.
He's not very good at that at home.
No,
It's
quick,
really-
just 2 seconds.
Yeah,
I literally opened up the trash to throw something in there and saw cardboard, and I was like, really? Called out. called out.
So it's an area of development for myself, but I came from a place. So my background is in commercial real estate, where like it's one of these things, like you do have to have the behavior at the local level, even when the systems don't match that at, say, the district, state,
Sure.
larger levels, because that's the reality, and that's kind of been everybody's cop out for forever, is like, well, you go down the line far enough and it breaks down.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it works.
Sure.
But at the core of it all, and I think that the most important thing, and Alan did a really nice job, is each person's accountability on their own actions, doing something that they can do versus everything. And I'll even admit that I get wrapped up into that, where it's like, well, why am I doing this if down the line it's not being utilized the way that it should, even though the personal behavior is what's going to drive the down the line impact. It's a chicken and the egg
What
thing.
a great realization when you're on air.
And it's the flogging of Joe Kirk.
Well, I liked when he talked about something you can do on a personal level that may impact, a larger scale with, writing to your congressman.
Yeah, I agree with that
That
too.
was a really good point. That is sometimes, we do talk about the recycling, which is important, and the things we can do, but that's also something personal we can all do. And
that's a generational thing too, where people of Alan's generation, that's how they communicate. Like they go, well, we're going at, like, that was commonplace. Whereas today, we're like, we just go on social media and air out the laundry, right? Where that's a great lesson for our generation to learn, is to go, we'll just go right to the horse, call them, and notify them of what you're feeling and what you feel like is important, because that's what ultimately drives it. Instead of
more personal.
It is more personal and direct.
So what I'm hearing is that process is severely underutilized, undervalued, when it actually should be utilized more often than not, and then not
And
trying
still
to
use
pose
the
on
social media,
But what a nice lesson, like the generations, like, of Rotarians. We've got the younger generation coming in. We've got the established membership now that's in their senior years. But there's a lot of things to be learned from those two things, right?
like in wisdom years, okay.
Well,
wisdom years.
but you really are, and so probably looking back, everybody's all the members are going, why do people complain on social media? Just call your senator. I mean,
pick up the phone.
Pick up the phone and just get something done.
Well, as we wrap up here, I do just want to say I think that the things that I'm going to personally do is continue my efforts in recycling at home.
And recycling for your husband at home.
Yeah, and maybe we start composting.
Oh snap!
We have composting bags.
I am
underneath
a
the sink.
former resident of Minneapolis. That was composting.
Well, there you go. You can do it.
All right. Well, we want to thank everyone for tuning in to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
It's time to stop searching
and start serving.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.